Hi, my name is Susan Carricker. I'm a teacher at Goshen High School in Goshen, Mississippi, and I'm here to take a look inside the Math Teacher EdTech Toolkit with you today. I hopefully will show you some things that will make your job easier and the work that you do more effective with your students. Let's take a look. The first thing we're going to look at is the toolbox itself. Google Classroom is the toolbox. It's where we'll store all the different tools that we use in our classes. In Google Classroom, you can organize your teaching materials, you can communicate to your students, you can leave feedback inside lessons and in your assignments, you can grade your assignments, and you can use Google Meet, which is a meeting software where you can meet face-to-face on cam with your students. I want to show you now some of the things I've done in my Google Classroom to organize it, and this may be a system that is actually a little better for a lot of math classes. We are now inside Google Classroom taking a look at my Algebra 1 class from this past year. One thing I did differently, and I'm actually kind of glad I did it, is I put all of my algebra students, even if they were in different class periods, into one Google Classroom. This was a way for them to collaborate in their classes and across classes. You can break up your class assignments into groups. It's kind of challenging to do that, but that is one thing you can do if you want to put all your students in one class. This does reduce some of the workload because you're not having to manage multiple classes at the same time. So notice, first of all, the stream. In the stream, I reserved this for only class announcements. So each week I would post the agenda for the week, and it usually would look something like this. They would have the dates of the week, the days, and then the assignments that they had to do. Any important announcements I would put here. I tried not to do more than one announcement a day because this does go to their emails and they might turn you off if they get too many of these. So I tried to limit them when I can. But this is one way I communicated with my entire class about what was expected. The next tab is the classwork tab, and this is where I probably spent the most time organizing my materials. I had organized my assignments by the week. So I would put the dates of the week, and then I would put the assignments under the week. I tried to post all the assignments at the beginning of the week so that the students throughout the week would know what it is they were expected to do. And I had my own system of numbering and dating so that kids could kind of keep track. You'll notice I have the date at the end. That's the day the assignment was basically given to them. The due date would be actually over here, and it's usually the day after for most of these. Although some of these I gave them more than one day or even a week to do. So each week you'll notice a series of assignments. Some of these assignments were like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, some were longer. So of course I have categories of grades. The tests would take longer than the daily grades or the quizzes. Okay, the next would be the grades tab. I'm not going to click on that because my kids are in there, but I did organize my assignments into categories: daily grades, quiz grades, and test grades. You could do that as well. Some students, most districts, of course, have their own grade book. We do, and so I don't put everything in this grade book because it's not really a grade book. It doesn't work quite the same, but I do put almost everything in Google Classroom because that way the students have access to their assignments. If I click on one of my assignments, I do give them pretty lengthy instructions. So you'll notice it has the date, the title, when it is due, and then it'll have specific instructions. And then I will have all my attachments, any attachment they may need to use to do that assignment. In this case, I have a rubric, and the students can read that as well. So these are things that you may want to consider doing in your class in Google Classroom. So now let's move on to the next tool in the toolbox. Next, we're going to take a look at Desmos Activities. These activities are the hook. These are particularly good in face-to-face classes where kids can kind of communicate with each other across the room, or you can actually communicate with your students and walk around and help them. But these activities are full of very engaging problems that are based in the real world, or they're at least something where they have to physically do things to modify a graph. They're great for exploration if you're introducing a new topic. Most activities come with what we call a low floor, meaning your weaker students can jump right in and get started. They don't hesitate. It's not, it's not scary to try. And then it also has a very high ceiling because almost all the activities also have some really challenging things at the end, so the students that move a little faster will get to those more challenging items. And then finally, the thing I like best about Desmos Activities is they are very conceptual activities. So let's go take a look at some of the Desmos activities that are available. To get to the activities, type teacher.desmos.com in your browser, or you can click on the link in this presentation to come here. And then I clicked on most popular to pull up some of the most popular of the activities. The first one, which I've seen used a lot, and it's a great way to get started with quadratics in Algebra 1, is the Will It Hit the Hoop? So I'm going to click on this activity. Now what it does when you click on it, it gives you options to either just glance at it, so it'll give you like the screens down here at the bottom. You can do student preview, which is go through the assignment yourself. So if I click on preview, it's going to show me what the kids are going to see. And it says drag the black points to create a line that models the blue points. So you'll notice I have some black points here. I can move those and I can try to position this line so that it goes through all the points or close to it. So this is physically moving things in this activity, and then they'll go to next, and then it'll talk about this person. So he is throwing a basketball, and the basketball is following a curve, and then you will write a statement here. But what's great about this is that there's really no risk for the student. They can make a statement here, and if it doesn't make a lot of sense, it's okay. This is a low risk environment, but the students make comments, and when they press share with class, this button here, it's going to present on the screen with everyone else's responses. And this is a great opportunity if you're doing this in a class setting, and to pull those up as a teacher with your class and talk about them. Like, why did you say that? That's great. I think you've got something there. And you can kind of do that together as a class, talk about the comments. And then here it starts talking about, you may not need a line, you may need a curve. So they do have the animation in here, which helps kids really see it. And then I love this screen, which we're not going to do it because it's kind of messing up. But these screens all have videos so that you can play those videos and show your class if the basketball hits the hoop or not. Now, when you're in an activity like this and you want to use it, the way you're going to do this is you're going to click on this button here, create class code, and it's going to produce a code here. On the far right, click the three dots, and then there will be a student link. What I do is I copy that link, and then I go back to Google Classroom, and I assign this inside Google Classroom so that they can go directly into the game from Google Classroom. If they leave and want to come back, they can. They can go back in through that same link through Google Classroom. I do encourage them to use their real names. Of course, if you don't tell them to do that, they can type anything. But if they don't put their real name, it's kind of hard for you to know who they are when you're checking their work. What you'll see when you go into a dashboard, I'm going to go into this dashboard, is it will show me the students, what they've done and the things they've answered. So you can go in here and it'll have the students' names. It'll have dots, meaning they've entered something. If you see gray squares with nothing, that means they haven't entered anything. If you see an X, it means they did it wrong or they made a mistake or something. Sometimes that's off though, so don't just assume it's wrong. You sometimes just have to look at it. In general, I would say you want to check your activities in here to make sure before you start assigning grades. Just because there's an X on here, it doesn't mean they really missed it. You want to take a look. The next tool in our toolbox is Equatio, and I call it the Swiss Army knife of our toolbox because it does so much. Equatio is really just one of many products by Text Help, and it allows you to include equations in graphics, in text, really nice professionally done equations. It helps you to produce graphics with mathematical symbols in the graphics if necessary, and it also to label things. So it's a really good tool. I use it all the time in Google Forms when I'm creating my quizzes and tests, or in Google Docs. So let's take a look at Equatio and see what it can do. Okay, now I'm in a Google Doc, and if you click on, or if you go to the App Store, the Google Web Store, and get your Equatio extension, it will look like this. You will need to close and reopen your browser for this to work. But once you press that, it's going to open up this toolbar that you see across the bottom. And when you click on the first option here, it will give you an equation editor. So you can just type in your equations, and you can put those into your document. So here's an example, and it will insert that equation into your document. It usually takes a few minutes to render, in other words, to show up so that you can really see it. But this is an example of what it will do. Now, it does much more. It also has this graphics feature called Math Space. So if you click on the Math Space, in here you're given way more tools, mainly for geometry. So go ahead and, if you haven't ever tried it, go in and try it. The geometry tools are down here at the bottom right where it says Shapes, and it also has Smart Shapes, which include a fraction circle or a pie chart and a protractor. So if you'll take a look, I can put a protractor on here, and I can change the labels. I can change the arrangement. So this is a fabulous tool that you could use. And then you can insert this into your document. I'm going to go ahead and put a few more things on here so you can kind of see what they are. The next one is an angle measure. So I could put an angle, and I can change the measure of that angle, I believe. So this one's 60 degrees, but I can transform it. Let's go down, transform it. It says angle 2 is 60 degrees. So let's make this one 80 degrees. You see how it changed the angle? Can make it 120 degrees. So you can create these graphics and insert these into your document. It's really a powerful tool. I like the grid. I use that a lot in my algebra. You can create a number line. These are all things that can be modified. When you click on them, it pulls up this, and be sure to scroll down because it gives you so many labels. You can change the style. Up here, you change the color. So if you don't like the color of something, you can change it up here. And then when you get your number line and your stuff where you want it, you click here to insert it. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you click over here on the logo, there's a way to download as a PNG whatever's on this screen. What I've learned in Forms the hard way is if I put a graphic in Forms, there's a problem. I can't really go back and edit any of those graphics. But if you will download this as a PNG, at least you have the original graphic. You maybe could crop that or do something to modify it if you wanted to use it again on some other assignment. So anyway, once I'm happy with what's on this screen, I'll click the Insert button on the top right, and it will insert all those graphics into my Google Doc. This tool works in Google Slides as well. So if students are creating presentations or you're creating presentations, you can do that. Now, the unfortunate part is it is free for teachers, but it is not free for students. So in order for your student to have access to this toolbar, the district will have to pay for that, or the student will have to pay for that. So there's not a free version right now for kids. The next tool in the toolbox is EdPuzzle. This is our tape measure. This is not truly a math, I don't know that it's a math tool, but it is a great one, and it actually does have an equation editor now, so you can put in your own equations and expressions when you're writing questions. In EdPuzzle, if you've never been there, you can click on the link or go to edpuzzle.com. There are instructional videos that you can insert questions, and you can assess how your students have learned what is in that video. It's a way of keeping your kids engaged because they cannot progress past the question until they've answered it, at least if you have it set that way. And you can also include extra notes about that video. You can use your own videos, or you can use videos of other people. There's quite a few already in there. So I would encourage you to check out EdPuzzle. It's an easy and pretty painless way to check your students' understanding of a concept. The next tool in the toolkit is Google for EDU. This is our leveler. That's because you can become a Google certified educator. They have training for G Suite tools, and they will give you a certification if you pass their level 1, level 2, or your trainer exam. So there's actually 3 levels of certification. There's a 4th level called Google Innovator, which is much more involved, and you have to receive an invitation to be a Google Innovator, and you will go to one of their training camps and do all kinds of things for that certification. But I have recently myself done the Google for Education Level 1 training. I did not find it that complicated, and I did learn quite a bit, and I did successfully pass my certification exam for Google Educator Level 1. So I encourage you to check it out. It's a great opportunity to grow in your understanding of G Suite tools. And last but not least is Twitter. Twitter is the hardware store. It is where you will go to find pretty much anything you need to make your job better, easier. And the first thing I want to introduce you to is hashtags. If you have not been on Twitter, it's a free place to go. You can create your own Twitter account. You can have multiple Twitter accounts if you want. But the first hashtag that you may want to check out is MTBOS, and this stands for Math Teacher Blogosphere. These are math teachers who write blogs, read blogs, and are very active in educating other math teachers about best practices. The second hashtag that's very popular with math teachers is I Teach Math. So when you get on Twitter, you just do a search and look for I Teach Math in the search bar, and it will pull up all kinds of tweets and people and things related to math teaching, including resources and blogs and other things. The next one is Desmos. They have a Twitter account that is extremely active, and an army of people that work for Desmos that are on Twitter to help people learn Desmos. So if you need to ask a question about Desmos, it's the best place to go to find help with whatever you're doing. Another place to go is GeoGebra. This is another graphing calculator software, but it is more geometric and not just algebraic, and it has different types of features. They also have a very active Twitter account and a very loyal Twitter following. So if you're on Twitter, you can reach out to the people on Twitter to learn more about how to use the GeoGebra software. Now I'm putting in a plug here for myself. This Tech No Math is my current blog and my Twitter account, and I have just created it in May, and it's already picked up quite a bit of followers. I'm kind of filling a niche, I think, because I'm presenting a lot of graphics about how to use the graphing calculator for Texas Instrument and how to use the graphing calculator Desmos. So if you need help with either one of those two things, those will be on Twitter. And if you can go to the blog to read or go to the website to read the blog, and that's linked on my Twitter account as well. So I invite you to follow me, ask questions. If you have any questions about this presentation or anything in it, feel free to let me know. And finally, I wanted to show you TweetDeck. TweetDeck is at tweetdeck.twitter.com, and it allows you to follow hashtags or individuals and look at all your tweets in one screen, which I really like. There's a toolbar on the left. You can click to expand the toolbar or collapse it. It'll show you how many notifications you have, your messages, and if you have anything new in your home stream. And in here, you can follow the people. You can read your private messages. You can look at your notifications, and you can add columns that include searches for like hashtags. It's a great tool if you're going to be active on Twitter. Thank you for joining me in this journey through the Math Teacher EdTech Toolkit. Hopefully you've seen some things that will inspire you to go deeper and to learn more. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me. My email address is scarricker@pgsd.ms. Have a great day.